I had too much Mountain Dew, so it's almost 4 a.m. Happy February 22nd, y'all. It's Black History Month, and I've spent most of it crying over a white man. Isn't that an issue? The ironic thing is, I've been reflecting on the way I love people. I usually can love people even if it's not always reciprocated. Because sometimes I'm just happy to have met people. Sometimes I'm happy that they decided, oh, look, here's a lovely little lady, and I'm going to let her in on my life. Sometimes it happens randomly. Sometimes I could just be walking down the street or sitting somewhere publicly, and someone will decide to sit next to me and start pouring their heart out about their life, unprovoked. For whatever reason. Is it because I'm a woman? Is it because of my race? Is it because of my looks? Or are they trying to flirt? What's the intention? Who knows? And who deep down cares? The end result is I get to meet someone lovely and new. And that is a blessing. I remember when I was 18, maybe 19 or so, um, freshly 19, I remember, a pimp was talking to me, and he told me all about a bunch of numerous amounts of crimes, unprovoked, just since he thought I was a cute girl to talk to. So he told me all about how he tricked this one girl into scanning a bunch of prepaid Visa cards at CVS and Walgreens for him, and then going out of and then they resold the cards or got used the money for the cards to like buy shit and boost stuff and do all types of shit with it, and how the girl got arrested on his behalf. And he told me all about how he basically is a pimp and he turns out prostitutes and stuff, and how he does this, and that. And I remember the specific way he did not laugh when I joked and said, okay, how do you know I'm not a cop? He didn't appreciate that joke very much, but even when I told him I'm not, and I said, nigga, you literally approached me. I'm here just waiting for my fucking toes to dry. Obviously, I'm not a cop, because a cop would be doing something else, not just sitting on a random street corner at this hour of the day with pink strawberry colored coat, like colored toes. And he told me a lot more. He was a strange fella. I remember he even tried to convince me to work for him. Obviously, I said no. Why the fuck would I ever say yes to something like that? Hate to break to you, I'm a smart lady. I know what I can get and what I can't get out of life. And I know that I get a lot more with my clothes on, thank you. And I could get a lot with my clothes off too, but at what cost? I prefer being clothed. And also, yeah, if you would have seen the hours of conversation we had, I'm just saying. I like when people just decide to reveal themselves for me. I like it when strangers decide to cry to me and tell me things. I remember when I hooked up with the guy in the back of his Hummer. Some of you may recognize this story. That was the dude who got his braces stuck in my, you know where area, and wanted me to pet him like a dog and call him puppy. That was a strange guy. But I know that afterwards, funny enough, that video went viral, but the video that came after it, where I kind of talked more about that, during the aftercare stage where we were just cuddling and talking, he did confide in me about something really bad happened to him, and he got harmed by a babysitter or a neighbor, both, in a very fucked up way that still haunted him. And we were both I was freshly 18 at the time, he was 19. I said, I'm sorry you went through that, and it's really sad. And I think I cried a bit, but I let him know that it's a totally normal thing, and that, hey, maybe if he tells his family, something good could come of it. And even though things with me and that individual didn't last long, not in any single way, shape, or form, not at all. You know what did happen? He got to go to his dad and be like, hi, I was molested by the neighbor. And he and his dad got to have the deepest talk they had in years and cry about it and hug and had a really nice bond. And I remember the way that hookup thanked me. And that felt really, really nice. And I liked that. I liked that could be a part of their life, even just for a little bit. Just to add a little something. I had this on and off fuck buddy for a while called Juan Carlos. People in my circle know all about him. How could you not? He was a high school crush of mine. I almost killed myself with the pandemic. He was one of the people I called just to leave a voicemail to. We talked a bit. One thing led to another. Sex happened. Another thing led to another. Trouble happened. Mainly, he started it. I sure as fuck made it 20 times worse. And let's just say, then we had a weird, interesting little trauma bond. And next thing you know, it's like he was picking me up, not just to eat my pussy and get me food or give me money or whatever, but because he just genuinely wanted someone to talk to. And he didn't realize how lonely he felt after all those years, and he started questioning his religion and his mindsets and everything in his life. And it felt kind of good to be there for him. Like, I still remember one night when he was like, my family's just, they grounded me. I can't do anything. I said, you are like well into your 20s. Your family can't ground you. You are a grown man with a job. You pay bills. That car is yours. It's in your name. You paid for it, if I recall correctly. There is like, no. And I told him, do yourself a favor. Oh, you're home tonight? He said, yeah. I said, pull that car out of that driveway and come see me and let me fuck you. And he was like, really? How would I even do that? Wouldn't they hear? And I said, no. If you just keep your lights off of your car and then just drive out really, really slowly, we could just fuck really quickly and you can come back. And I did. And I think that did a domino effect where me telling him to like disobey his parents led to a domino effect of him deciding, you know what? Fuck Catholicism, fuck religion, and fuck people trying to make me feel bad. Did he fully transform as a person? No, trust me when I say he's probably still working the dead end job. He's probably still suffering in a lot of ways. But guess what? I was at least able to be there for him, and we still have had a connection up until like early November, I'd say. It felt good. I wouldn't describe us as extremely close friends or anything. We didn't hate each other, or at least not fully. We could never fully commit to it. But he did love to hear about my life because he liked to live through me. Like, he loved to live vicariously through me, to hear about the good I was doing, the bad I was up to, how my life was going. Because even though he had the same fucking one job at a construction factory or whatever the fuck, and another job as a dishwasher, and any time was just spent at home doing nothing but origami or staring into space or struggling to sleep from anxiety, he liked that he was able to just hear about me and whatever nonsense I was up to, good or bad, just for a little bit. I'm glad I was able to bring him that comfort for a while. And one of our nicest meetups, I'd say, we spent several hours at the local beach, just watching the sunrise and embracing each other in each other's arms. And he cried into my arms about his life. And I kept trying to convince him that there was a reason to live and that he could grab his life by the horns anytime he wanted. Sad to say, he never has followed my advice fully. After a certain point, he just kind of got too hopeless. I'm pretty sure he's still alive, though, so don't get too sad for him, because, in the great words of Mitchell, my most recent fling, if they don't want to change their situation, they're clearly happy with it, so why feel bad for them? Because if they weren't happy with it, they'd stop it, right? But either way, it felt good to be good for him, and, it felt good to be the girl that he was able to cry into the chest of for hours when he felt fucking hopeless about where his life was going and about his money and his housing and his family and the point of anything. It felt good. We have no connection now because he's a fucking asshole, but I at least value I was able to be there for him, even though I know if I saw him again, there's a high chance I would rock the shit out of that man or do a vile, vile crime to him. Trust me, I hate him. He disgusts me. Hate's a strong word, I know, but it's a valid word. At the very least, disgust and disdain. But don't worry, I still care about Juan Carlos in the sense of, with the new president we have, if you can even call him that, I have been concerned about ICE raids because I know something about Juan Carlos and well, let's just say I don't care enough about him to reach out. I only care about him enough where I hope that he's okay. Because I don't, he's been through a lot already. Let's see. There's someone else. Oh, Morgan. Morgan's the best example. Was that a nightmare of a relationship? Yeah, but when it was good, it was fucking fantastic. Like, the sex was amazing, the conversations were fun, the playfulness was like no other. The deep conversations, the inside jokes, the trauma bonding, the sharing of stories. Like, Ashley seeing him grow and change to an extent, that felt good. Now, did it last permanently? No. Because, he wanted to stay being a sex addict with fucking undiagnosed issues who didn't want to actually fix anything about his life. He wanted to pretend he was willing to fix it, but was he? No. But whatever. I guess it's like, as terrible as it was, there are still some beautiful memories scattered in there. So I guess I'm not too spiteful of it. There's people who, I don't know. I had a date with this guy. I forgot all. I even had a date with him. His name was Michael. Michael Houlihan. Disgusting motherfucker. Weird nose. Nice red hair. Gorgeous man. To an extent. But not gorgeous enough where I was willing to tolerate his disrespect. Fuck no. Things ended terribly between me, but I do remember the specific way he just felt like telling me shit. He told me about how he had been a terrible, borderline abusive partner to several women he's been with, how he has a tendency to cheat, and how he used to have a coke addiction but didn't tell anybody. And he told me all about stealing $10,000 from a restaurant, a part of his that had a deal with his alcohol company. And he stole that shit and split it with his friends on just random shit. And he told me a lot of terrible things, but you know what? The thing about me is that sometimes I like hearing when the person's terrible and they're not trying to hide it. Because it feels a lot more cathartic and real than the type of person who would put on a facade. I don't like liars and I don't like facades. I like people who are just unapologetically nutty. Unapologetically them. That's why I liked Mitchell. It's so funny that Mitchell just thought he would be so unimpressive to be himself and that I wouldn't truly like him. Whole time I liked him. I liked him even when there were things we didn't have in common. Like, that he's the type of psycho-ass white boy to decide to go cave diving. Like, nigga, you're stupid. Like, really? Okay, really? What's interesting about going down a cave for fucking miles and the risk of getting stuck in there with your scrawny bitch ass? Like, what the fuck? Like, we didn't agree on the same thing about, like, he thought Christianity was the way. I definitely did not agree with that. Uh, you know. But he told me plenty of things. He told me about some of his more nutjob behaviors. He told me about some of his issues with hygiene and health. He told me about some of his, like, fears surrounding his family. And, like, trust me, I've heard a million rants from Mitchell about his fucking stance on circumcision. Which is valid. I'm glad he cares so much. It is important to care. It's important to have things that matter to you. But, like, I don't know. It's like, I guess the big question is, Mitchell is now someone who's just going to be someone in the past. Am I going to regret ever meeting him? Because terrible things did happen. Terrible things. Atrocious things. God-awful things happened between me and him. Some things I'm not sure I will talk about. Some things I might. But at the same time, I was happy to meet someone who was happy to confide in me about wanting to estrange their family, who was happy to confide in me about his childhood and the stuff he experienced, and I still think he's a very beautiful man. It's a shame that he didn't like himself, because truly I thought he was the most endearing person I had seen in ages. I was so happy to meet someone who was just willing to be like, hi, I'm a psycho-ass white boy who, like, talks to himself sometimes, and I have a history of chasing down cars whenever I think I'm getting followed, and having rage issues at times, and, like, and obviously he has, to an extent, some sort of homicidal thoughts, which I find attractive. And I know it's like, why do you find that attractive? Some of these motherfuckers should not be on this planet, is what I'm just saying. I haven't acted on homicidal tendencies, to the best of my knowledge, at least. Have I? To the best of my knowledge, at least. I don't know, I just appreciate when people are real as fuck. Because it's like, it can be some of the most cathartic shit. Just being, it's like, yeah. It's like, here I am, I'm a girl at a fucking cliff with this random ass white boy with red curly hair, and he's telling me about his coke addiction and all his flaws and all this and that. And I'm telling him about my flaws, and we're having a good time just getting to know each other. No real expectations, no idea on what's going to happen next. Just simply enjoying the fact that we get to be ourselves. No mask. No anything. Just unapologetically us. I like that sort of thing. Short term, long term, all that. I've even had some friends that weren't super good because of that. Because I just thought to myself, I'm just happy to get to experience this person. Then eventually it'll have to be an inevitable, like, oh, you know what? I would like this person to actually talk to me respectfully. I would like this person to ask about me, to be sweet, to be kind, to be caring, to put in an effort to show me the same level of love or interest or curiosity that I do to them, and not aim to harm me. But life isn't always so easy. Life doesn't always give you what you want or what you desire. And that's the difficult part about it. But yeah, not much to say. Other than I am glad that I get to experience blessed people. You know? I'm glad that I get to be let in on the candidness of their lives. The sadness, the deep sorrow, the anger, the rage, the lust, everything. I hate liars because they think they'll impress me by hiding themselves, when in reality, telling me the worst about yourself will probably still get you miles ahead than someone who hides it. I will never respect someone who hides it because they're the least fun motherfuckers to be around. And they have no distinctions, and they want to be seen as distinctiveness lacking, which is pathetic. The people I remember most are the people who were vulnerable. The people who told me about how it was like to lose a sibling when you were so young, with a mother who just ramped up on her neurotic behavior because she already didn't want you as a kid, but now you're the only kid, and now she can't stop comparing you to the deceased brother. I like when I meet someone and they bother to tell me about like how it felt to be a young girl in a big scary world in the 50s, before you had rights and any woman had rights, and to grow up in an era where that's like you couldn't even wear pants without like the risk of death. I like when people tell me about loves they had back in time periods to show me that, you know what, love has been consistently the same throughout all these years, just as complex and confusing as you think, but of course different laws and different rules, of course, and guidelines on what was okay and what wasn't, and it's all fascinating. I just find human beings fascinating, so I'm usually able to love them just because I'm happy they give me access. If someone's willing to be candid and be around and put in an effort to be, let's fucking try it with me, then I will always love that miles ahead than someone who just tries to be the perfect person for me and can't. In fact, my relationship with Liam, like hell, when the very first night we met in person, they didn't try to hide who they were. I brought it up. I was like, hey, what do you like to do for fun? And they admitted that they were embarrassed, but how they didn't really do much of anything aside from just like watch anime and play video games sometimes, but really a whole lot of nothing. And you could tell they felt bad as they said it. And I was like, thank fucking God. And they were like, what? And I was like, thank fucking God. I don't do shit either. At all. But I want to. And we both breathed a huge fucking sigh of relief. And they were like, and he was like, yeah, I just don't want to do things alone. And I said, me too. Maybe we could do that sometime. And then cue a nice, wonderful relationship where we had a bunch of amazing memories. Like, we went to the zoo together. We checked out, like, exhibits, like, this day. And we went to all sorts of museums and exploratoriums and all these wonderful events. And we had an exquisite time. And it was lovely when it was good. And even when it ended, well, obviously it didn't fully end because, well, you still hear him mentioned. But I'm just saying, I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's 4 a.m., but I just love the nature of, like, I just love humans. I think it's fascinating to get to know how people came to be from their childhoods. I think it's fascinating to know how your first love can transform the way you see love forever. How your parents treated you can affect how you might communicate even like 20 years down the line. How certain pivotal moments shape you. Like how your worst moments shape you as a person, how your best moments shape you as a person, all sorts of things, and I find it all fascinating and tragic. Sometimes I see people and I just who hate themselves, and I think it's so fucking sad. It's like, you don't know how beautiful I find you. Like, even people who thought I hated them, like, trust me, like Marco back in the day, he was this fucking grubby little asshole with potential sex addiction who kept using drugs and music to escape his pain. Now, mind you, did I think he was absolutely fucking pathetic in every single way? Of course he was. He was cheating on a girl who definitely was head over heels obsessed and in love with him, even though she had no real reason to be, but whatever. They were around each other for a long time, I get it. And, you know, he definitely was a fucking dumbass, but then, I don't know, you heard about his family, you heard about the way he grew up, and you're kind of like, I see why he never believes anyone who's nice to him, and he only likes it when people are mean to him, especially women, because the way he grew up being so neglected by most women, and even his own mother still to this day acts like his existence is a stay on the earth, it makes sense that he grew up thinking that he doesn't matter. For Juan Carlos, like, he doesn't fucking see himself as worthy because when he was young, he never was able to like celebrate his birthday or Christmas, and he never really got any gifts or was told anything mattered. I had to be the one to tell Juan Carlos, it's a shame you went through that, because that's not to shit on your dad because he worked hard to get you into America, but still, it is really fucked up that he worked so hard to give you a better life, but then didn't realize that he's supposed to let you reap the benefits of a better life, not just convince you that the world is full of suffering and there's no good and you just have to endlessly toil and work. Because the point of being a hard worker is that you have something to work for that rewards you, not just to exist and never experience any sort of bliss ever. Like, that's pathetic. I didn't say the obvious that's pathetic part, but I still made it clear like he didn't deserve the childhood he got. I don't know. Even when I meet people who aren't the best for me, I still feel for them to an extent. Even the terrible ones. Like the terrible ones, even if you don't fully sympathize with them, it's still fascinating. Like, wow, this is the mind of a misogynist. Wow, this is the mind of a cheater. Wow, this is the mind of a thief or a narcissist or a liar. And I get to understand your perspective, and it piques my interest, and it brings me a certain satisfaction to a curiosity I would never knew I would have. And now I see your mindset, and you've taught me something important about the world, and I thank you for that. Like, that's why I appreciated when Morgan eventually did start being honest with me about his life and revealed which of his lies were what and why he brought up certain lies to me when we dated. He wanted to be seen as impressive by people. And when you hear about the way his dad locked him in a bedroom for most of his pivotal formable years, you understand why, as an adult, he sleeps all the time and doesn't have many hobbies. You understand why he clings to friends who don't cling to him. You understand why he doesn't have many friends of his own race, because with his own upbringing and whatnot, he doesn't feel comfortable around them or stable with them. You understand why he cheats so much and has never learned to communicate and shuts down easily in lies, because when you learn about how fucked up his mother was in so many ways to him and his father, and how he saw both of their partners fight and cheat and kiss and make up all the time, he probably just associates love with terror and war instead of like a safe thing that you can have faith in, you know? Like, and you understand why he's the way he is. And when you hear about how his first love did him dirty, and that was the first one he truly like had feelings for and was vulnerable with, so it can hurt a special sort of bad, and he just gave up in believing that good could come his way after that. At least allegedly. It doesn't change the fact that people are still responsible to grow and heal and, you know, do things to just like not be stagnant. Like, you're supposed to grow, you're supposed to change, you're supposed to learn things about yourself. But it's still interesting to just be able to catch people in certain glimpses of their life and just be like, huh, I'm blessed you showed me this part of yourself. Because whether I see you again or not, if I don't see you, I learn something new about the world. And if I do see you again, I get to see if you've changed and how you've changed, and the dangers of not changing, and the blessings of actually making progress in your life and growing and developing, and how some things never change, but some things do, for better and for worse. The unwind of some people, and the downfall, or the upbringing and the uprising of blessings. It's very interesting. Mitchell's a good example of that. I was thinking about him, of course, but specifically, I had a realization today. Mitchell is someone you would call a fearful, avoidant attachment person. He has a fear of being abandoned, but also a fear of commitment. I understand at the root why that is how it is. His parents never divorced when they should have. He saw his dad being an alcoholic who was probably cheating and chose to be away from his wife and kids constantly. He saw his dad be an abusive menace. He saw his mother be neglectful. He didn't quite develop a bond with his brother in the way he should have. A bunch of things factor into why Mitchell came out the way he did. Like, you know, Mitchell is a very lovely man. I still believe that. I know. I should hate him. I should want him to be hit with stones in the town square for being such a disgusting little troublemaker and such an evil old bastard in a lot of different ways. But a part of me still just kind of is like, when we talked, I saw a scared little boy in him. I saw someone who was fucking utterly terrified of being rejected and neglected. I saw someone who didn't know how to handle certain emotions. I saw it like, oh, I see. Deep down, you're still that little boy who had parents who never made him feel emotionally prioritized, who never made him feel important, who shut him down whenever he tried to open about how he felt. You know, the type of kid who never got, like, even family dinners or holidays celebrated, who never had a relationship, or at least not a real one. You know, and tying all the stuff I know about him together, it all makes sense. He also mentioned something vague, and let's just say Mitchell told me he only had one brother when he actually might have two. And he didn't say much, he just said along the lines of, when we did hang out, I remember the specific way he cried and said that the reason he's never estranged his family is because something in him subconsciously is always saying that if he were to separate from his family, he will die. And something really, really bad would happen to him. I don't know what happened to the elusive oldest brother that he doesn't talk about. I don't know. There could be a lot behind that. I don't know. We weren't close. I didn't get to know before things ended between me and him. I wish I knew, but we can have our secrets sometimes, can't we? But it certainly paints a sad image compared to the shit he told me when we met up. I wouldn't be shocked if he lost his older brother, either through estrangement or death or some sort of fucked up separation that possibly traumatized him. I hope Mitchell gets the help he needs. You know? Therapy. I almost went the whole video without crying, and now I'm getting close again. I just think it's sad you're able to be like, this is someone who didn't have the best childhood, and now they're an adult. You know, they have adult money, and they do this and this and that, but it's like deep down, they should have been loved very differently. Because now they're a grown adult man who's almost 30, and they don't know how to safely love. They don't think it's safe for them because of how fucked up his parents were and his upbringing was. He wants love, but he's ironically afraid of it. How are you supposed to get something you're afraid of? No? It's not gonna do you any good. I don't know. Well, I'm still figuring out how I feel about Mitchell. It's better if I don't think about it, because I don't want to have a breakdown on camera. Like, I like that I've gone almost full 12 to 24 hours without crying over Mitchell. At least not gutturally sobbing. No offense, I'm known to cry out my water weight, but I will say it was a blessing to know him. But he does make me sick, to an extent. Hell, I'm looking at photos of us on our computer right now. Also, unrelated, but this nigga has really ugly teeth. Like, holy shit. Sorry. Like, fuck. His forehead's not that big, it's just the way I'm holding it. This is a great photo of us, though. No, he's kind of ugly. Well, I already knew that, though. Everyone's a little ugly. We all have our bad angles. I didn't need to say that, I'm sorry. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's nice just to meet people and not fully have any attachments to them. Sometimes it feels good to kind of see people kind of like cool, interactable NPCs in a video game where you just get a little glimpse into their life. You get to help them out where you can. You get to watch them develop and change. You get to just be there to like have little side quests or little dialogue here and there. But then outside of that, yeah, that's just kind of it. Feels kind of nice. Anyway, I should probably I don't know. But what a blessing it is to get to know about the ins and outs of people. Even the disgusting parts of us can be beautiful. like learning why someone might have a depression bedroom, or how depression manifests in their body, or anxiety, or stress, or PTSD, or mental illnesses, or certain family issues. And like, it's just interesting. I've always found it very interesting to be able to just like, yeah, I've dated men where like you kind of understand how they became misogynistic. It's like, oh, I see you didn't grow up with a healthy father figure, and you had an abusive mother, and you didn't know how to deal with that, and your gym coach who had toxic values was the only person to really care for you to an extent and give you discipline. It makes sense that you kind of fell for certain rhetorics of his. And then you learn why the guy with the dead sibling never talks about his sibling and lies about how his sibling passed away, or if he even has one, or why he doesn't cry, or why he feels gay for showing emotions or saying how he feels. I don't know. Makes me kind of sad. But I guess not to end this video on a sad note, I will say it is a blessing that I was at least able to experience certain things and help out in people's lives whenever I could. I don't know. I'm working on it though. Like, I think I've done pretty well at kicking people out of my life once I realized they're not being reciprocal or they're being disrespectful. Because why? I deserve a lot better than friends who I find to be so fascinating and loving, and I care about them and all that, but I need that same care back too. It has to be double-sided. Like, just like how, like, let's say something good happened recently. A friend of mine on the internet, they were very sweet. They were having a breakdown specifically about someone they cheated on who they still loved, and the other person didn't have romantic feelings for them but still cared. And they were kind of spiraling, and they were wondering if they should get back on their meds for their bipolar disorder. And I got to talk to them, and that felt good. But I also thought to myself, it is funny how I'm reaching out, even though the same person has seen me cry over Mitchell or this situation or that situation, and they haven't reached out a single fucking time, but they have watched my Instagram story and my social media every fucking day. But you know what? It's okay. Because I guess they finally realized, like, oh shit, I have people on this planet who care about me and I want to care about them back. So they've been putting in the effort of, like, if they see me on my story, even if they don't fully have everything in order on what to say, they still make an effort to be like, hi, I think you might like this song for your heartbreak. Oh, I feel for you, girl. I know your situation. And they still try. And that's beautiful. What matters is people who try. Shout out to the people who actually let themselves be vulnerable, and shout out to those who can also care back. That is how the world keeps going. People being vulnerable, people showing care, love, empathy, and grace to each other. They not only give, but they can also receive. They don't just take, they also reciprocate. That's the beauty of life. And I'm grateful that, you know, I'm able to experience that. And I'm going to make sure I get that out of all my friends, you know? So I know that deep down, even if I care about Mitchell's situation, it's like, hey, he could care a lot more about mine. So I don't need to cry too much about Mitchell's fucking situation with his goddamn fucking fearful, avoidant, weird, anxious attachment bullshit. Because deep down, it's like, if he truly cared for me, I think he'd be keeping tabs on me. And he'd be like, how's Tamia doing? She's been doing rough lately. I know she's been stressed out. Is she okay? And he's not. So it's okay. I at least got to value him, because he couldn't value himself, and he probably at least knows that at some point he was valued and there was someone who genuinely gave a fuck about him. Who knows how he'll deal with that? He probably might pull Juan Carlos knowing these are arrogant assholes, but you know what? Hey, it was still beautiful to experience his life, to experience him, and I love when people let me experience them. It's wonderful. God bless to everyone who's been amazing enough to live this long and to let me be a part of your life, no matter how shameful you think your life is. I'm just happy to be involved, even a little bit. Amen. Thank you so much. Peace out. Bye.